Do you find me fuckable in my time leather pants? If you find me touchable, extend your hand for a grab.
Welcome to Hard Talks with Chris and Friends, where topics that are hard or will make you hard are talked about, where things get real and unfiltered. Here is your host, Christopher Velasquez.
Well, hello, welcome. This is my first episode. I'm so excited. My name is Christopher, and this is Hard Talks. Today, it's going to be a very interesting episode. This is my first episode, so we're going to be talking about me. Who am I? So I have a good friend of mine that I know since I was a gaby. For too long. Her name is Brittney Hernandez. She is my best friend. She is someone that I know for who knows how many years. We met
summer
school before. Going into ninth grade.
And just a little thing, I was the first person Chris came out to, so I'm just gonna throw that in there. Hi guys, my name is Brittney.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Meester?
I'm good. Dealing with quarantine and, all the craziness in the world right now.
Focus on the good.
Yeah, let's focus on the good. And so I brought you on because I want people to get to know who I am and get to know me. And I hate talking about myself.
Oh, that's a first.
I mean, as in giving you my autobiography on my own. So I'd rather have a friend. And since this is going to be a podcast where I will talk to my friends, and
you decided to bring in your favorite.
And I decided to bring someone that's not only a friend, but a sister. Let me start with this podcast will be a podcast where I take you on a journey through my life. I mean, I have gone through a lot of different parts of the community. I am someone since I came out. I came out at the age right before I turned 18. I don't know if you remember, but I came out right before I turned 18.
To everyone?
To my mom.
Oh, yes, to your mom.
Which was the hardest thing. Yes, I came out. Okay, so I came out. Let me go back a little bit. I came out to everybody that summer when we met, which to me, coming out to other people has never been hard. I don't know to you, but to me, it's never been hard. It's I'm the type of person, I don't care what people think.
And it's easier, obviously, to come out to, anyone else that's not family.
Yeah. Coming out to my mom was like the death of me. I think to a lot of people, they'll relate. Coming out to a parent is always harder than anybody else. Anybody else could say whatever they want. But, you care what your parents say. You don't want to disappoint them. And I feel like a lot of people are under the same situation where, my mom is a single mother. So for me, my mom is my dad and my mom. It was only until after I came out to her that I was able to start my journey in exploring who I was. It was so much more easier for me to figure what I wanted to do. I didn't have to keep it a secret anymore. I didn't have to hide who I was. So then I started going to LGBT clubs and started going to stuff like that. And that took me on a journey, because I was still not 18. So I had to wait until I was old enough to go to those clubs and go to, all those things that you could only do as an adult, not as a child. So really until I turned 18 was when my journey started. I went through different parts or sections of the community. I started off as a WeHo queen, going to West Hollywood and Mickey's and all my favorite clubs out there. So yeah, WeHo was a big part of who I am and my journey. Then I think another part or another stop was I've always liked the history and I've always liked looking into our gay culture and why there's certain things. And going into LGBT centers, I am part of a lot of LGBT centers that I love, that I learned so much. So I think that was that was the second biggest part. And the third, I think, and the part that I am now is, the leather community and being welcomed and, running for a title, and learning so much about my kinks and who I am as a person. I think this is what this journey has been and what this journey will continue to be, you know?
Let me just say, guys, Chris took me to my first other leather gay bar, and I'm a gay woman. I'm a lesbian. And I've seen some shit, you know, from Chris, just in my own life experience as well. But that gay leather bar was something else. not a bad thing. I think I wasn't prepared for it. But that is a whole different world that I'm actually very happy that Chris got into, because it's actually showing more of his sexuality.
So let's start with, who's Britt? Tell them a little bit more about you, since you are, and I'm gonna, after I'm done introducing you, I will give you the reins, so you could ask me questions, and you could help them get to know me like you know me. In the room, just so you guys know, is her beautiful, I think, better half, and actually the better half, Wendy.
We're gonna stop this podcast right now. I'm about to walk out the door. It's not wrong. I've never done a podcast before, so this is actually a first cool experience. But like Chris said, I'm engaged. I came out to my mother and sisters and brothers when I was 16, and then I actually came out to my dad when I was, I think, 21. So I was lucky enough to have had great experiences with those both coming out stories. My father just wants grandkids, and my mother was just mad at herself that I wasn't able to be myself around her. So I got very lucky, unlike some people who have parents who throw them out and are just not open to the whole idea. But yeah, I've known Chris since we were probably like 14, maybe.
Yeah. How old? Right? How old are you when you go into 9th grade?
14. Hopefully, because I don't want to math.
But
unless you want to math, because you love to math and make fun of me how I can't. You know what, Chris? Let me start off asking you questions. How about that?
Yes.
Because I'm here to interview you.
Yes.
So shut up. No,
okay.
just kidding.
Okay. Jesus. There was this kind of interview.
You said that your podcast is going to be a whole journey throughout your life about like gay culture, about sex, kinks, politics, and just a lot more. Cancel culture, my bad, as well. So what made you want to do this podcast?
I have listened to podcasts for years. I think I was in senior year when I found a podcast. It's called the Gay Pimp podcast. And they talked about the New York gay life. And that was kind of my introduction into the bigger gay life world, and just I think more than just my high school little world, but this was like a look into the world. The Gay Pimp, his name is Johnny McGovern, and I think I want to say thanks to him I am as openly and as gay as I am, because he introduced a lot of Paris is Burning, all these things to me that maybe I would have never been introduced to. But so over the years, I listened to countless of podcasts, and I've learned something. So I'm going to say this. I like motivational speaking, but I never liked when it feels like it's put down your throat. I like more when it's people having conversations with someone else and you're learning from that. So that's kind of what I want to do with this podcast. And all the gay podcasts are basically kind of the same. And I think it was time for someone to just come in here and talk about the things that people don't want to talk about.
You mean like get down to the nitty gritty?
Yeah, talk to the nitty gritty. I think I was telling you this a little while ago. People are just easily want to cancel people. And I come from the mindset that why not educate people? I have a child development background, and I believe education is the most important thing. So instead of canceling someone right away, you could just educate them. And our mistakes from like 5 or 3 years ago shouldn't reflect who we are now, because we all grow, we all develop differently,
But I have some questions. I feel like it fits into your podcast.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and just jump into like the gay culture, politics,
and all of this. Yeah, let's have real conversations.
So I'm gonna go ahead and start with this one. Just grab my little card here. Disclaimer. I dated a girl who had let's just say, I don't like hair. Okay, I don't like hair. Down there, down south. And Chris loved to make fun of the fact that this girl had hair down there. So So, Chris, what is your present state of your pubic hair?
Wow. Okay. I trim. I'm a trimmer. I don't shave. I've never liked to shave. And let me just do a little. Let me backtrack a little bit. It wasn't that I made fun of her. I am someone who
Very
just
outspoken.
who just tells things how they are. And Britt told me her preference is not hair or as much hair as that girl had, and just didn't want to tell her. And I'm someone that thinks there's something, and I'm very sex positive, and I think that you should ask for what you need, especially sexually. That I thought that the easiest way to do it without making her feel attacked was to bring it up in a conversation.
No one was talking about it.
Yeah. Am I the person that could maybe walk into conversations and do it flawlessly? No. Have I gotten better? Yes.
Did she make a face at me like, what the hell? Yes.
Yes. So, but were we young and maybe now I would have...
Were we baby gays and didn't realize what we were doing because we were young? Yes.
Yes. So, would have things been different now? Yes. I would have been more tactful.
So then, going based off that, do you like hairy?
I do love bears. I do like a furry guy. I don't like a lot of hair. I like nice manicured hair, but I do like body hair. I think it's sexy.
Okay. So we prefer a good amount of hair.
Yeah.
Would you say would you like it all natural? Or would you want it
manicured?
I would say manicured. Trimmed a bit.
Yeah.
Well
Trimmed
cut?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is actually a big conversation or thing. I don't really know how to put a tag on it in the gay community about being a top or a bottom. Some people don't really understand it. Some people do. So would you say, what is a top? What is a bottom?
Okay.
What is a verse?
Okay.
And what are you? And if you're, or would you say none of the labels really matter?
So, wow. Let me start. Okay. Let me break this down. First, tops and bottoms. Basically, I think the easiest way to explain it is if you're playing a baseball game, which God knows I love baseball players. A top is the person that is pitching, and the bottom is the person that is receiving. I think without having to go into details, you kind of get what I mean. And I am verse. I am into kinks, and I am more of a dom when it comes to kink play. But I do know how to submit. Vanilla sex. I'm verse.
What's vanilla sex?
Vanilla sex, just
like vanilla ice cream.
Vanilla sex would be considered just your everyday sex. Okay. When we're talking about kinks, it's usually not vanilla. So if I'm gonna get tied up, you don't think that as a vanilla sex.
So vanilla's just plain.
Yeah, plain sex.
Look
like
at
the
me
everyday.
From your
podcast.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Everyday sex is vanilla sex.
So then, going off of kinks,
okay.
What is the kinkiest thing you've asked someone else to do?
The kinkiest.
And then what's the kinkiest thing someone else has asked you to do?
Okay, so and this is why I want to do this podcast too. I'm new in the kink world, and there's not a lot that I have done, and there's a lot that I'm curious about. There's a lot that I want to know more about and that I want to explore. But the kinkiest thing I've done, maybe outdoor sex. And I love looking at people have sex too. So outdoor sex, group sex, that's kind of the craziest thing I've done. The craziest thing they've asked me to do has been, and not crazy in a bad thing. When I say crazy, it's just out there, fisting. But I have not learned how to fist, and I don't think I could get fisted.
Do you think you would be able to fist someone?
Yeah, I would be interested in seeing how that works.
Chris actually showed me my first ever fisting video. Okay, so let's get into a little bit of the political aspect of this.
Yeah.
Who do you think is the best political figure? Who do you think in the gay community actually is more political than anything?
When you say politicians, that's hard because we haven't had a lot of politicians that have been allies. Though their whole time, there's people that come into it, but I feel like the only two people that, that came to my head when you said that was Nancy Pelosi and Alexandria Cortez. For me, it's more about, those activists, and I love and I look up to Laverne Cox, someone that has changed the world by being herself and being proud of who she is, and not downplaying or not trying to blend in with the crowd, or doing what people say she has to do. So yeah, Laverne Cox is someone that I think is amazing, and we should all strive to at least be a little bit like her. Another thing for me, activism and a form of resistance is just being yourself, being able to be as queer and not blend into the norms is a form of activism. So I think that we could all be activists in little ways throughout our life. But yeah, for sure, Laverne Cox is someone that like pops to head like right away. She's an amazing person. She has she's done a lot of amazing things for our community overall. I think trans people have been pushed to the back, and we haven't gave them the space that they deserve in our community. If we think about like Stonewall, they were the first to throw the rocks, and they were the first ones to make the change, and we haven't gave them that spot. And I think it's time, and I think that right now, and with everything going on, we kind of see that it's time for us to love our sisters again and bring them back. In for the longest, we took them out, and I think it's time, and she for sure is in the head of that. She's making sure that we see that struggle, and we realize that we have, not done right by them, and it's time for us to do right. So that's why that's why I look up to her. She's amazing.
Okay. Now, there's another thing in the gay community, at least for gay men, because I don't know if you want to get into lesbian thing, but for gay men, I know there's a thing called PrEP, and you've also been very vocal about using PrEP.
Yes.
Which is it? What does it do exactly? Like, it helps.
PrEP stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis. And it's medication that prevents HIV and AIDS, obviously, because they go hand in hand. Yeah, I take it. It's like birth control. I like to explain it to people, to kind of make it simple. It's like birth control. You take it every single day, and it prevents you from, getting pregnant in birth controls, case, and getting HIV in PrEP's case. It has been something newer that we've had in the last couple of years. I think it came out in 2012. I'm not a doctor, so please, you guys, don't take my advice. Go talk to your doctor, do your own research. So for me personally, it's worked. I'm someone that's sex positive and that thinks that people should be able to explore their own sexuality with as many and whenever they want, and I like just the safety that gives me. For sure that there's other, things out there that this won't help you protect yourself with, but as gay men, the thing that we are the most scared of is, HIV and AIDS, and that at least is one thing less to worry about. I don't like the idea, and I've heard it a lot, of people just saying, well, the other things, there's shots and there's, things like that will fix those. I don't like that idea neither, so I'm never going to say that. I do believe that transparency is the best policy, and if you have something or you think you have something, you should always get tested, and you should always let your partner know. I think I have these things. I haven't gotten tested yet. Do you still want to pursue what we're doing? And let that be on their, on their behalf. I think we are all in charge of our sexual health. So I would never want to decide for someone else. But for sure, these will be conversations that we could go more into depth, and on other episodes, I will have people that will kind of have these conversations with, these are kind of the things that I do want to talk on this podcast, because there is a lot of controversies on, is PrEP good for you? Is it not good for you? Even the mindsets like, oh, I'm on PrEP, so I could just do whatever I want. I don't have to get tested. These are all topics that I want to dive into with people that I know. But I don't wear protection. I don't know. I don't like condoms, and I'm not gonna do the whole it doesn't feel good with condoms. I just don't like them. I've never gotten used to, use condoms, and down to this day, I just don't like it. Especially now that there's PrEP, I get tested.
Really in how it feels?
Yeah. I guess I just feel guilty. I feel guilty saying that, but it does. There's a difference, and I just don't like it. But I keep myself safe by doing all the necessary things, by getting tested, taking PrEP, making sure my partners are getting tested, making sure that they know their status. So
okay. You think about, I guess, since that's how everyone's kind of labeled. Just our community in whole, like, we're all just hoes. We just want to sleep around with everyone. That, like, because obviously, going out and doing your thing, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. As gay people, and when I say gay people, I mean as just anybody in the LGBT community. As there's no rules for us. There's no rules. There's no, when you're straight, you, as a little kid, you're told, hey, you're going to grow up. If you're a little girl, you're going to grow up. You're going to, go to school. Then you're going to meet a husband. And then you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person, have kids, and grow old with them, right? As gay people, we don't. We are in charge of our own destiny because there's no guidelines for us. So I believe, and I'm going to say this, slut shaming was made to oppress.
There you go, slut shaming. That's what I was thinking.
Slut shaming was made to oppress women and to make them feel. Because it's funny, if a girl sleeps with 50 guys, she's a slut, Mm-hmm. But if a guy sleeps with 60 girls or even 100,
he's considered the man.
Yeah, he's a player. He's the best thing in the world. So slut shaming was just made to make women feel, and So I think the same way it's done when gay people do it. They're like, oh well, you're sleeping with so much guys. You're gonna catch something. It's made to oppress us. Yeah. And that's what slut shaming is. It's a way to oppress. So I don't believe in slut shaming.
So going based off of what you just said, when was the last time you had unprotected sex?
So,
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, obviously
2 hours ago. Just kidding.
Obviously, wink, wink. We're not breaking quarantine rules. But if let's say I was to be breaking quarantine rules, maybe like 2 weeks ago.
What would you say is the most negative thing about cancel culture, if there's any negative, and what's the most positive thing, if there's any?
Okay, negative, I think, is that we are not giving people chance to grow. And I think I already said this. There are people that are getting canceled for stuff that they said 5 years ago. I'm going to be honest with you. 5 years ago, I used gay as a bad term. I used the word faggot as in bad terms, right? I wouldn't want to get canceled for those things. Now I know, but back then it wasn't a big deal for us, So I don't believe that people should get canceled, especially if they're showing that they're not the same. There's words that now, trans women, we can't call them. Back then it was okay. Even trans women use those words. Do I think that someone should get canceled if it was okay before and now it's not? No. I feel if they're doing it now, and if they're not changing and they're not willing to change, yes, cancel them. I think we're at a point where anything and everyone is able to get canceled, and I think that's not okay. I think there's a place and a time for cancel culture. Do I think that everybody should get canceled? Everybody deserves to get punished? No. I think sometimes we just need to educate people, and I think that that's something we forget.
So would you say like the positive part of cancel culture, in a sense, because you're not really canceling them, is that it kind of brings to light who does need the kind of excuse me, it does bring to light the kind of person that needs the education and all that?
Yes, I would say that. I think that cancel culture is good because it brings up topics and it brings up discussions, and that's good. We should have these discussions. Sometimes maybe not canceling the person, but maybe a discussion. If I tell you, hey, saying that word is not okay, and then I tell you all the reasons why, now you are someone that's educated about a topic that will be able to educate someone else.
So either use the information you were given or just be a shithead and just
continue. So there's and then I think someone that gets the information and then becomes a shithead, obviously cancel them. Yeah. Right? But someone that gets the education and goes, okay, now I understand, I'm going to do better, I'm going to move on from this, and I'm going to be a better person, and educate people too, all means, I think they learned, and we could forgive them. So that's like, and I think that it's hard for a lot of people to see those things and separate them. They just want to cancel someone and cancel them and done, So
there's a lot of gay people who don't believe asexual people and queer people belong in the LGBT community, and I don't understand why. What do you think about that?
I'm happy that you brought this up. The LGBT community, regardless, is a community of people that are not looked as part of the rest of the world, as a heterosexual world. So I think that it doesn't matter under what label you fall. It doesn't matter who you are. I think it's like saying, this is the club of all the outsiders. We are all the outsiders. So as long as you're an outsider, it shouldn't matter.
I never got that, because it's like we as gay people also we fight for our rights, and you don't want to be called anything different. No. So why are you putting that on other people who are in our community that also just want love, want appreciation, want to be themselves?
And something I'm going to talk about a lot in this podcast is I feel there's a giant divide within the community. Regardless, that idea that if you are, a West Hollywood queen, or you are a leather daddy or a leather queen, or you're a bear, or we're all kind of against each other and looking at someone, at the other person as, oh, well, you're not the same. You're not the same. I like to believe, and I think this, because I hear this a lot, where there'll people be like, well, especially me coming in from the West Hollywood crowd. They're like, well, West Hollywood people are like this. West Hollywood are like this. And I'm like, everybody's like that. You could go to any place and you'll find someone that's conceited. To just label someone as, oh, this, not even label someone, but label a community and be like, well, they're like this, they're that. That's what straight people want. The people that are against us, that's what they do. They go, oh, well, gay people crazy, they're all this, they're all that, to make us feel bad about ourselves. So why would we do that within our own community? Why would we fight against each other? Because if we're fighting against each other, we're not fighting against the real problem, which the real problem is the people that don't like us. Thank you for asking me all those questions. I hope that those questions help people understand a little bit who I am better. But one thing I do want to end with is, why don't you tell me in a couple words how you see me? I think I've never asked you to describe me in a couple words.
Actually, I'd probably say just outspoken.
Okay.
Because you're not afraid to speak up. You've never been afraid to speak up. You've always been out there. Sometimes even if it's too much. Sometimes even when it's not the right time.
Yeah.
But I like that because you're not afraid to you're not afraid to be authentically you,
Yeah.
and not afraid to open up your mouth and speak your truth, or, you know, say what is right and what's wrong. So I think actually I'd probably just say like outspoken.
You know, for someone that knows me as long as you know me and as well as you know me, you know, we've been together, like I said, since like before ninth grade to like now that we're like in our mid-20s. You know, you've been there through all my journeys, through all the craziness. What is one thing that you've seen where I've grown, where I've, you know, where I'm not the same, you know, teenager that I was?
I feel like you've grown in the way like you're more comfortable in your own skin. You're more comfortable being you, because you weren't always authentically you. Like growing up in high school, I remember you kind of just you were loud, you were outspoken, you were yourself, but I feel like you kind of tried to be what people thought a gay person should be.
Yeah. Especially at school.
Yeah, especially in school. And I feel like now, just seeing you kind of grow up over the years, I feel like now you're more just so comfortable in your own skin. You're very body positive, very sex positive. Oops, I almost dropped my glass. Very sex positive. You're not shy.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the biggest growth you've had in yourself, because before you were a little shy, you were a little reserved, but again, you tried to be what other people wanted you to be. And now you're more just comfortable in your own skin.
So, you know, and I've talked about this with you, and you know, there's a level of privilege that I have as a, you know, 6'1" guy who could pass as a straight guy. When I'm serious, or you know, I'm passable, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. I don't get a lot of shit. You know, mm-hmm. I don't. It's easier for me for people to not know I'm gay. You know, mm-hmm. But in the same time, I love Drag Race. I'm flamboyant. I love gay. Like I love pop music and anything that has to do with my divas. I love, you know, I have like my Beyonce.
And fun fact, Chris is actually in a drag show.
I was in a drag show, and
I have video proof.
And this is all like now, right? Yeah. And I think it's taken me a while to get to the point where I feel comfortable, you know, going in and out of my of playing with gender. I think that's what it is. I play with gender more, and I'm comfortable.
What you like.
Yeah, and I'm more comfortable now with my identity as a gay or queer person. I like to just play with gender as it is, because gender's just a construct, you know.
You're just human.
And I'm just human, and you know, I could be tough at moments, and I could be super sensitive. I have a close friend who we just went hiking, and he was so surprised because he's so used to just seeing me be a little bit more flamboyant. Mm-hmm. He was so surprised how like I was over here jumping off cliffs and you know, doing the most, and he's like, Chris, I thought you were gonna be like a little bit more delicate, I guess, you know, what the stereotypical gay would be when they go out and hike. But no, you know, that's the thing. Like, I like to play with what people's construct is of being gay, you know, those stereotypes, or you know, people expect because you're gay, you're gonna do stuff a certain way, or you're gonna like certain things, or you're not gonna do certain things. And that's what I like now, to play with people's expectations of what I should be doing. I think as someone that knows me for as long as you know me, do you think that that is something that I'm putting out there?
I think it's a little different for me because, like you said, like your friend's seen you more in your flamboyant stage. I've seen you in all of your stages. Yeah. So growing up and kind of like both of us at the same time, essentially coming out and just trying to find who we were. Yeah. I think I didn't really see just like one side of you. I saw all of the sides because I was there when you were trying to figure out what you wanted, what you liked. So I don't think it ever like fazed me like, oh, like you're more flamboyant and we go on a hike and I'm like, what the hell? Or, you know, we're going out hiking and then we go to like a gay bar and you're very flamboyant. I've never actually thought about that because I've seen every part of you. Yeah. So I was lucky enough to see that, and I'm happy I did, because just to see you going through all the stages and trying to figure out what you like. And even now with this leather phase, I think It's like it was very surprising for me.
Yeah.
Just like in that environment, because I've never been in that environment. But it wasn't anything like, oh my god, I can't believe Chris is into this. It was more like, okay, it's just another thing he's trying to figure out.
So
I just wish you would have warned me what the bar looked like.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Actually, let me ask you one more question.
Yeah.
Overall, what do you hope for in this podcast?
You know, what do I hope for in this podcast, or what do I see myself doing with this podcast? I've taken a lot of my close friends and my friends in journeys, and I've learned so much from them. You know, I've had amazing people around me that I've learned so much from. I want to bring everything that I've learned from others and all my life experiences. You know, I keep saying, you know, you guys are going to follow me in this journey because I think it's important. I think we've all gone through a journey, and we have all learned from the journey we've been on. And all I'm doing on this podcast is bringing people that I've learned from, all my best friends, all my friends who have taught me a lot in the way. And I hope that people listening to this will learn one or two things, you know, even if it's just seeing life through someone else's point of view. I think that's the biggest thing, just being able to see life through someone's point of view. I've always learned from other people, so I'm hoping that people will see that.
Does that mean I'm going to return?
You're going to return. We do need to talk. We are going to talk more, and I for sure. You are getting married in a couple months.
Am I gonna be your first gay wedding?
You are gonna be my first gay wedding,
so
and I'm gonna be part of it too. Oh my god! Don't even.
Yes,
let's
he's my
not.
best man.
Let's not even, because I don't want to cry. But yeah, there is a lot, and there's a lot of things that are gonna be happening in your life too, that I'm excited to be part of, and I for sure want to bring you back once we're able to talk about those things. I'm going to end your part with this, that you have been someone that I've always looked up to like a sister. You have a beautiful relationship that one day I want to have. I envy it in a good way, not in a bad way.
Thank you. I'm the one who doesn't know.
But yeah, so thank you for coming on. Thank you for, where can people find you? What's your Instagram?
Brittney, Brittney, Joy _. That's actually all I have.
Okay, well, thank you for coming on. Well, I hope all of you enjoyed today's episode. This was my first episode. I'm super excited. I know I have a lot to learn, and I hope that you guys will stick with me throughout my learning curve and all of this. I hope you guys liked it so far. And I hope you guys come back. So remember to subscribe, like, comment, leave a review, follow me at Chris Diva, or follow the podcast at Heart Talks with Chris. And I want to give a special thanks to Jamison for letting me use his song Fuckable. That's the song you hear in the intro. So if you guys like it, please go on Spotify and go check out his Instagram at JV_makes_it_pop. And I want to thank Wendy for letting me use her voice in the intro. This podcast will take you on a journey throughout different parts of gay culture. We will talk about sex, kinks, and a lot more. We will explore all different types of conversations. Some conversations might be hard, and some conversations might just get you hard enough. But thank you. Thank you for coming.
This is the outro for Chris's thing is ASMR. Goodbye, bitches. Let me just say, I hope that these podcasts get better and better.